What if I told you that being a professional gamer was one of the careers most affected by drug use in the world? Would that change your mind about being one? In this video, we're going to be talking about the goods and the bads of being a pro gamer. We'll then talk about the biggest issues that anyone who wants to go pro will have to deal with, and a step-by-step process of going pro. At the end, I'll close off with whether I'd go pro at some point, and some super valuable advice for those who are determined to be a pro gamer. Hi, my name is FLOWSHIZZLE, and I've always been interested in esports ever since I was a little kid. The concept of playing your favorite games and being one of the best at it was an alluring career. During my journey, I've worked with esports orgs and learned some behind the scene things that have eventually changed my perspective. And in this video, I'm going to share with you what I learned. Let's start with some of the good. You get paid to play video games. Salaries range depending on the size of the org you're in, how good of a player you are, what game you specialize in, and a ton of other factors, so it can vary. Valorant is my main game, and I've seen pros make anywhere from a solid couple thousand a month to staggering hundreds of thousands. The gap is really wide, but usually the bottom line for tier 1 pros is that you can do what you love and make a respectable income.
5,000 to like 20,000 is like the range for most teams per month, and then there's some teams and players above that, way above that.
You can also use your org's brand power to boost your own personal brand, which can allow you to have a following of dedicated fans that will follow you wherever you go. Shroud is a really great example of this. He pivoted from being a CSGO pro to a content creator by using his exposure and skills in the pro scene to build a huge loyal fan base. So you've got money, you've got fame, and an awesome career. Everything sounds great, right? Well, let's hit you with the bad. You may get to play video games for a living, but expect that to be almost all you do. When I was working for NYXL or Anbox at the time, I was given access to our Valorant team's schedule, and it was packed from the AM to the PM with scrims, meetings, content shoots, tournaments, pretty much exactly like a job. Actually, on some days you work more than 8 hours, which in the United States is more than a normal job. Then there's the streaming requirement. Since a lot of orgs don't get enough return on investment from their pros, they require their players to stream a certain amount of hours. So imagine after 8 hours of scrims and meetings, you have to get back on, turn on the camera to play even more so you can hit your contractual streaming requirement. Oh boo-hoo, you have to play a lot of video games and get paid for it. Wah, wah, wah. I'm not done. Let's revisit some of the other good things that I said earlier. Using your orgs to boost your own personal brand. On the surface level, that sounds great, but it's by no means easy. Let's take a look at what happened to Shroud. When he started trying to grow his personal brand by streaming more often and having more YouTube content, Reddit, Twitch chat, and tons of CS fans at the time started flaming him for streaming too much and not spending enough time practicing, even though they're technically two separate issues. His chat would blow up with people tying his team's losses to his personal performance, even when he realistically is only 1/5 of the team, and his performance wasn't even really the issue. This is also similar to what Shazam, a Valorant pro, had to go through with his time on Sentinels as well.
Yeah, I do care about streaming. It's true, but I never let it get away competing. And that seems to be like what everyone's hating me for. It's crazy to me, but whatever. I mean, pros use their, like, we practice and then use your free time to do other things, play other games and stuff. Anyone in my position would care. If you enjoy doing it, streaming's buying my mom a house, not pro Valorant. Obviously, I'm trying to find a way to balance both. No one puts more effort in the team than I do. If people think I don't care.
Speaking of fans, let's talk about them. The thing is, fans are fickle, and a lot of them are only there for the good times, when the team is performing well, and the moment you start underperforming, or your team just does poorly in general, they flip a switch and start with the toxicity. The amount of pros that receive death threats or have to deal with extremely high levels of this toxicity is honestly just ridiculous. And it's just an accepted fact that you're gonna have to deal with.
Guys, if I showed you guys my DMs, I could show you like 20 screenshots that are screenshots I took of people saying they'll like fucking dismember my mother because I knifed Mixwell and shit. Like, I'm so used to it now, it's like nothing to me.
Back in the days, when gambling was allowed for Counter-Strike matches, this was especially true, since people who lost their bets would turn their anger onto the same individuals that they bet on.
I will do it. Hope your wife and kid. What the fuck, my friend? Pedo Kubir. I wanna start crying, my friend, about this what you said, my friend. This is all my life, my wife and my kid, my friend. Don't say it again, my friend. Oh my god. You fucking idiot. You fucking idiot.
Dan and Mizo, honestly, I just want to let you know, I'm happy we lost the match, and fuck your skins too, because I don't give a fuck about your skins. And fuck anyone who lost their skins that gets mad at C9 and calls us shitty. Because fuck you guys, because all you guys do is call us shitty. Because we lose one fucking map. And you guys get mad because we lose because you're betting your fucking skins. So you have a gambling problem. You're getting mad at me? That's your fucking problem. You need to put any kind of thing you gamble, anything you gamble in life, you're taking a chance right there. Anything you gamble, you need to be prepared to fucking lose. So you know what? Fuck you.
Let's take a second and circle back to the intro of this video. Esports has a huge drug problem. Performance-enhancing drugs, or PEDs, are common in any competitive scenario due to the sheer amount of mental pressure that competitors have to go through, and it's no different in esports. Drugs like Adderall have high usage in the community since it's not enforced very strictly. And combining that with the toxic environment and tremendous internal pressure, it's really no shocker that the usage is rampant. A while back, there was this famous scandal that Cloud9's CSGO team used Adderall during a tournament. And during an interview, it was revealed that it wasn't just them.
We're all on Adderall. Like, I don't even give a fuck. Like, it was pretty obvious, like, if you listen to the comms, like...
Yeah, you shouldn't be doing this probably, right? Like, everyone knew, like, you probably shouldn't be taking massive amounts of Adderall out of LAN, but people were doing it.
This isn't only limited to Counter-Strike. Games like Call of Duty, Halo, League of Legends, pretty much if it has a competitive esport, then there's Adderall abuse.
Ark was quoted saying, if you are not taking Adderall, then you are putting yourself at an intentional disadvantage.
Now, if you knew that all your opponents were using it, wouldn't you be tempted as well? So let's say that you're okay with all of the above. You have a huge passion for gaming and you have thick skin so you can deal with the ups and downs of fan interaction. And you also won't let the pressure get to you to use things like Adderall. You should go pro, right? Well, let's talk about the largest issue that anyone who pursues going pro is gonna have to deal with: time. Every human only has 24 hours in a day. It doesn't matter how smart you are, genetically gifted, this is a rule of the universe. Time is finite. And when you spend your time doing anything, there's an opportunity cost that you incur. Basically, if you're doing something, then you're not doing something else. So far, we've been talking under the assumption that you're already a pro. And I've listed out the things in life that you'll have to deal with when you're pro. But what about before? What about everything to get you to the point of being a pro? How hard is that? And more importantly, how long would that take? Let's speak in terms of Valorant, since the channel is a Valorant channel after all. Other games will be different, but the core concept should give you a pretty good comparison point. We'll give you the benefit of the doubt and say that you're already Radiant or a very, very high Immortal 3. That's top 0.2% of the player base. First thing you do is find a team. This in itself isn't easy, as finding 5 players that fit your personality, have the same goals as you, and are of equal skill level is difficult. Anytime humans work together, there's always some level of conflict. Someone isn't putting in as much work as others, someone is straight up toxic, unaccepting of criticism, the list goes on and on and on. So trust me when I say you're likely not going to be able to find a decent team until after at least a few tries. Now you have a team that's decent and works with you, and you guys have aligned goals. Now it's the part of working together and playing as a team. Because trust me, ranked queues do not teach you anything deeper than maybe a few simple fakes and 3-2-1 swings. Team chemistry and synergy takes time to create, and it's not something you could just work harder at. It's generally something that has to naturally occur. You can guide the process, but forced teamwork isn't as strong as the natural kind, which means you're gonna need more time. Months of playing together with the same 5-stack is probably one of the best ways to build this connection. This is also the process on which people think of new agent compositions, strategies, which tack on more time to learn and require more time to practice. Alright, so we've gotten this far, we're comfortable as a team, and we're competitively skilled. We probably competed in a few small to medium tournaments and got results. This was our big break, right? We just need to do well in the open qualifiers of, let's say, Valorant Champions League, and then we'll get picked up by an org and live the pro gamer life that we've always wanted. I'm sorry, but I hate to break it to you. So far, I've been giving you close to 0 obstacles. Here's your first big one. What if one of your teammates gets an offer to join another team? Most orgs don't pick up entire rosters. They may need a player or two, and one of the players on your team is performing exceptionally well, so they get the offer. But not everyone. To them, they'd obviously be very enticed to accept, since the entire time everyone is unpaid, with an unclear future, so naturally, they take the offer. If anyone out there is thinking, wow, they'd sacrifice the team that they're playing on for selfish reasons, I'd highly recommend you reframe your thinking. Life is hard, and each player is working individually hard to stand out. Most likely their initial goal was not to play with these specific 5 players, but to succeed as a professional in esports. And when you dangle someone's lifelong dream in front of them, can you really blame them for taking it when they might not get another chance? Think hard about whether it'd be easy for you to say no if you'd been working at this for the past 2 or 3 years. Alright, so now you're down to 4 players. You kinda have to go back to step 2 to try out new players, rebuild chemistry, reteach strats. This essentially repeats until your entire roster gets picked up by an org, or you're the lucky one to have an org scout you. We talked about time before, and here's where it comes into play. This entire process that we just went over can take years. If you're a genius talent who is given a chance, like Demon 1, maybe it takes as short as 2 years. If you're unlucky, it could take 5 years, or more likely, it never happens. There's a ton of players out there who have been free agents for a long time, and the entire time you're scrimming or practicing, you're not really gaining any valuable skills. Like, don't get me wrong, I think esports pros are insanely talented, but realistically, this skill doesn't really transfer anywhere else. A lot of players trying to go pro are in late high school or early college, which is an important time in your life. You meet lifelong friends there, and you start your journey to independence. I don't want to sound like a parent, but it's kind of true. If you're stuck on your computer the entire time, you miss out on the other opportunities that are available to you. And if going pro doesn't pan out, then you don't really have much to show for it. Alright, let's go into the final scenario where you're picked up by an org. And I'm sorry to say, you're not really in the clear. Besides the lifestyle that I explained before with the time commitment and toxic fans, having a job is also not a guaranteed thing forever. Here are some things that can risk you losing your job. Poor performance. While it seems like it's controllable, it really isn't, since everyone has fluctuations in their play, some days being really good and some days being bad. A bad streak could cost you your job. Your org runs out of money. This is actually really common, since esports orgs haven't really found a good way to monetize properly. Take a look at EG and The Guard. I have my own opinions on how esports can be saved. If you want to know what it is, comment down below and ask me to make a video. You can get replaced by another player. Talent comes and goes, and someone could be the next hot thing, and they take your job. You don't make franchising or Challengers League, and thus have months in the off season. This is more toward Valorant, but other games have something similar. A lot of orgs drop their team at points where there's a long off season because it doesn't really make sense to continue paying them a salary for them to not play. I hope this shows the amount of work it takes to be a professional esports player and the payoff from it as well. So would I go pro? Being a streamer and content creator who's hit top 100, I inevitably get the question, are you thinking of going pro? And I want to say a few things. First, I don't think that I can go pro. Even though I'm a high-ranked player, I don't think that's enough to justify being a pro. You need motivation, ambition, and drive, so I don't want to cheapen the idea that a semi-casual Valorant player like me could be anywhere near a pro level. With that being said, personally, I don't like the tremendous time sink that going pro requires, and the unsecure future that it holds, even if you get to the top. I'm a person that likes playing Valorant, but that's not all I am. I have an extreme interest in cooking, business, traveling, content creation, and sacrificing everything else to satisfy one of my objectives doesn't really seem reasonable to me. And I'm willing to bet most of you guys are also like me. You might be thinking, what am I trying to get at? Should nobody go pro? No, that's not what I'm trying to say. There will always be outliers. People who no matter what feel a strong passion that they need to accomplish this. And it's something worth sacrificing a lot for. If you're this person, let me give you some words of advice. Number 1 is to have a backup plan that's realistic. Stay in school, learn a skill, something that will give you a financial future. Because, let me be real with you, money's kind of important. A lot of people believe they need to drop everything else and fully commit to one thing. And by staying in school or working or doing anything else, it's just a distraction. To that, let me raise a counterpoint. If you have no other parts of yourself that are progressing in life besides your esports career, you will naturally put a lot of pressure on yourself to make your career succeed. But as we spoke about before, success takes time. And that entire time, every moment you're awake, you will feel an ungodly amount of pressure to succeed. Now, a little bit of pressure is always good, but this will likely be overwhelming since you'll always feel your back is against the wall. Having a backup plan gives you the flexibility of telling yourself it's okay to have a bad match or perform poorly occasionally. It reduces the risk of burnout and increases your ability to think rationally. If you're like me and have parents that worry, this also helps with that because usually they're worried rationally on the subject. Whether you'll get a job, make enough money to survive, yada yada yada, be understanding of why they're worried and be respectful of the fact that the future of a pro gamer is uncertain. Show that respect by having a solid backup plan that you can choose not to use, and not that you don't have one. Tip number 2 is to be prepared to work harder than anyone else. Don't compare yourself with those others that are working a 9 to 5. There is no clock out time. Because the path to pro is not paved, you must create your own route. Think outside the box. network with pros, find a way to be more enticing to orgs, because doing the same thing that everyone else does, like throwing up a stream and posting some highlights, aren't going to set you apart. If you want to be a pro so bad, don't cheapen the dream by being lazy. Finally, tip number 3, set a time when you'll quit. This sounds like giving up, but trust me, it's not. Most people don't set a mental timer on when they should quit, and thus they become lazy. If you tell yourself you have, let's say, 2 years to make this happen, then every single day up till then has purpose. Don't delude yourself in a fantasy that doesn't exist. I respect you for trying to accomplish something so difficult, but I will not respect you for not taking it seriously.